say they provide breeding grounds for people to engage and employ children. For instance, the girl child is often considered very productive at a very tender age. The moment the girl child is able to support in babysitting or in house chores, she's given out to serve elsewhere to supplement the family income. So this is a big, that practice is actually not so good. Employment. In fact, employment is also a big problem. It's one of the major problems in the country. A good percentage or proportion of the population is unemployed, and this is reflected in their income levels. So families that are actually not having definite source or reliable source of income have most of their children pushed into this sector to help supplement the family income. That's what I mean. Then gender inequality. I should also elaborate a little on that. There is this practice amongst most families there. The boy child is considered superior to the girl child in most of our cultural settings. And most of these girls, for that matter, miss the classroom. They do not have the opportunity to go to class. It's just the boys that are actually sent. Many more boys are actually sent to school to acquire education than the girls. As a result, they often grow to find out that they don't have the capacity to do any job, and for that matter, they finally find themselves in situations like this. So there is a sort of discrimination again in the system that exposes the challenge. So you actually find most of these girls, young girls, who are at these places providing services, and they are being exploited by the system. These are the challenges in addressing this menace, the menace of child labor in Ghana. In fact, we have very beautiful laws in Ghana that are, unfortunately, they have not been operationalized. We have the Convention of the Rights of the Child. This is the United Nations document, and Ghana has adapted, or if I may say that, it has domesticated that. It has been reframed to suit the situation. We have something we call the Children's Act. It was formulated in 1998, and it is Act 198. And that act specifically provides that engaging anybody below the age of 18 is prohibited. However, this law is not being enforced. And as I indicated earlier, we also have the Convention on the Rights of the Child, which is an international document. It's also not being enforced. There's no education. We do not have adequate public education programs that would create awareness among the populace of the causes and consequences of child labor on the individual children and even the economy as a whole. So that awareness is very, very low. We have absence of family policy. The African tradition, we are into multi-marriages, and there are no policies that regulate parental responsibility towards the children. So most of the parents are not actually having the welfare of their children at heart, because probably of the sizes of families that we raise. So that is actually a problem. And there are no policies that actually regulate that parents must be responsible towards the welfare of their children. High level of poverty. Indicated earlier, we do not have many of our people who are gainfully employed. And as such, poverty levels are quite high. And when you tell, for instance, you tell a parent that do well just to send your kid to school, he tells you to go and pay the fee. Or take that boy off the cocoa plantation, I am engaging him there because I need to pay for his school fees. And at the end of the day, the kid does not even get to the classroom. The cultural practices, that was what I indicated earlier, the discrimination between, in fact, the discrimination against the girl child. Then higher cost of schooling. The issues of poverty and unemployment has actually translated into parents feeling that we are not capable, or we are incapacitated in as far as giving education to our children. So these are some of the challenges that have been identified as militating against the combat of child labor in Ghana. The conclusion that I have drawn. Indeed, it is obvious from what I have just spoken about that child labor is most prevalent in the African continent, West Africa, and especially in Ghana. It is on the ascendancy, it is on the increase in the continent as a whole. Its worst forms include mining, quarrying, armed conflict, prostitution, commercial sex, and all these things I have mentioned. Indeed, I should explain this. That this is the situation I just explained. Children are engaged, carrying all kinds of loads, quite heavy, throughout the day, just to get something to supplement the family income. So we call it kaya. And we also have dead body. Some parents actually go to borrow money from the affluent members of community and send their wards to work to pay for that. So the children are not actually engaged and to be paid. The parents have already collected the money and are asked to work for that. We also have slavery. Some are sold out and are trafficked to be engaged in the system. In light of that, I have made these recommendations for implementation. The laws that I did mention about should be enforced stringently so that it will help minimize people who engage children as laborers. Prosecution of violators. Violators of child rights or the rights of children should be prosecuted. Awareness creation. There should be programs mounted to create awareness among the public of the causes and the negative effects of child labor on children themselves and the economy as a whole. Outlaw, the system should also work hard to outlaw unpleasant cultural practices. Those are the discrimination against both the boy child and the girl child. Then institution of family policy or parental responsibility. There should also be a law that holds parents responsible for child neglect. Then reduction of the cost of education to make room for a larger number of children to have access to education. And then attacking the almighty poverty. At least to give some people should be, the people should have some sort of capacity to earn something to support their families rather than sending out children at that tender age to work to come to supplement family income. And I have some pictures here to illustrate the situations I have just described. From that is a young boy of lower than 6 years of age. He is in the Atlantic Ocean with a commercial fisherman. His duty there is to be collecting water away from the boat so that the boat doesn't fill up and sinks. And he's there as early as 5 o'clock or so. The second picture shows us a number of children in the cocoa farm. They are opening up the cocoa pots for drying of the cocoa beans. That other boy is in the cotton plantation. That is not a family farm, but that is somebody else's farm he is working on. This other one is also a cocoa farm where the kids are working. The other picture depicts the scenario of young girls carrying luggage for people all day long. And there is a little boy there processing fish for sale in the market. That is the picture is that level, you can see that. Then this is a surface mining. We call it galamsey, where individuals go to dig for gold and process them. And usually they engage these children in carrying the gold-bearing rocks, provide them water and what have you. And they come into contact with very dangerous chemicals and they use very dangerous equipment to do those things. They are doing, this is a situation where they are doing fishing. And all these children of school-going age are engaged there. Then lastly, it is a sort of an effort being made by the government. This is a group of policemen who intercepted as many as 116 children who were being transported from Ghana to Ivory Coast, that is a neighboring country, to be engaged in the cocoa plantations. So these are some of the pictures depicting the situation of child labor in Ghana. So I once more should thank you very much for your rapt attention, and I will take some questions if any. Thank you. Yes, please.
On one of your earlier slides, I believe you had stated 20%.
Yes.
Is it correct then that 20% of all children in Ghana are
between the ages of 15 and 70?
Yeah.
Yes, please. I got access. I verified that. Yes, please.
Togo and Ghana shares borders, and Togo is known to be one of the highest trafficking countries of children, not just in Africa, but in the world, or underage children and vulnerable adults. Is there any collaboration between both governments to be able to do any type of assessments on the borders or at the border stage before these children are
Yes,
able to
yes,
come?
thank you very much. There are actually clear-cut policies about the issue of trafficking children across borders. Unfortunately, the officers, the implementers of the policies on the ground do not usually do that. And people who think they actually gain from these things have various and varying routes of sending these children. No, our border monitoring system is that weak. Anybody walks across from any angle. And these children are often sent in bits. You might not actually find them in the cargo trucks or whatever, but they go through unapproved routes. But for instance, the immigration and customs officers are actually just checking businessmen, people just like to build the economy. Their focus is based on how people are doing import and export trade. Yeah. So that's the problem. The policies exist, but like I'm saying, they're actually not being enforced. And people have various ways of getting onto other neighboring countries, even without any single document. That is where we have the challenge.
I have a question.
And just a minute, and to add to that, there is this situation we have some of the people, for instance, people in the Volta region have direct blood relations in Togo and the other side. So sometimes you just think that like a family sort of transaction, but that is not the issue. Because the colonial master has actually divided some ethnic groups by those artificial barriers. You have your grandfather who lives in the other country, and you live in this country. Thank you very much for the introduction. Yes, please.
In your opinion, I'd like to know what the parents' role towards this problem, because parents must, I don't know, somehow say something about this, or it might be.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you like. Thank you very much. Indeed, I do a lot of mediation as a human rights worker, and good numbers of children come to my office to report about the fact that dad asked me or has requested me to go to the farm today, but we have a test at the school. Such instances, I have to get to the family and see what the real situation is, invite them and give a talk. But the big question is, he will always ask you, how do I even pay? He's saying I should bring money for him to go and pay for the test. He has to sit at the end of the term. But I ask that should not be an issue, because we have a policy of FK, that is free basic compulsory education, except that it is not that effective. For now, you need to do a sacrifice. There is actually no focus. A lot of them have managed, excuse me to go that far, that they spend on social activities like funerals and marriage ceremonies without sending or investing in the child. But we monitor it. But indeed, you cannot take the parent to the court for now because he has not sent the kid to the school. You cannot do it in Ghana. You cannot prosecute a parent who is trampling upon the rights of the child. You will have been breaking up that family. So we need to do these things cautiously, and that is what I do. Let them see the near future benefits of the child. And they are indeed compromising. Sometimes I even have to direct them to some of the NGOs like World Vision that is prepared to help children who are brilliant but needy. So I'll redirect a parent like that. You could get support from this or that organization to let the child have education. Thank you. Yes, please.
Are there organizations in Ghana where if a young person is in a prostitution situation and she doesn't have parents or he doesn't have parents and they escape, is there organizations that protect the children, or a place? Would they go to your organization for protection, or if they get away from that, or is there? I know there are in other places, so I'm just wondering.
Thank you. Indeed, prostitution in Ghana is totally outlawed. It is not anything anyone should even practice. But usually these things are actually done behind the scene. Most of these children are taken there with the reason that I'm going to support you. They come to me around this period, I will engage you to help me in my family chores or what have you. But when they have gotten there, you find that they actually give them out to people. But you cannot tell, you cannot go telling who is keeping this child in there for that purpose. But they are monitoring. Sorry?
If the child escapes from that, is there a place for them to go? Is there a place for rehabilitation, or would they go to your organization?
Oh yes, there are, but there are just a few. There are organizations that work to rehabilitate children who have escaped from them, but there are just a few. And these actually operate based on the support of benevolent individuals and institutions. And they take very small numbers of children because they actually do not have the capacity to take care of large numbers of children who are in need of rehabilitation, because the funding would be a big problem for them. That's why the problem. So, thank you. I hope. Yes, please.
So you talked about having the government enforce laws to bring about cultural change. I'm wondering if there are efforts to, working in local communities, using informal structures with community leaders, elders, to begin making changes on that level as well.
Thank you very much. That is one of my core duties as a human rights worker. I run programs in the community, and usually opinion leaders, we have the chiefs, we run a local governance system where we have grassroots participation. People from the communities come to represent their communities at the Judicial Assembly. So I work out these things through these community outlets, and there is that awakening that is quite growing, and they are seeing the need. I have results from my organization in particular, except that culture dies hard. Some of them are holding fast to the things they do. So we are actually trying to have very subtle approach to these things. Because they have lived with such cultures over years, and it is difficult for somebody to expect a one-shot stop of these practices. Thank you. We're making progress.
Okay.
Yes,
May I
please.
just ask one final question?
Do.
There are particular regions that are higher, you pointed out,
Yes, please.
for trafficking, for child labor than others. Is there any particular reason why these regions attracted more?
Yes, yes. These, the three, let me get back to the... sorry? I will give you...
Yeah, it was the one before.
I will give you the relationship. You know, these two other regions are the largest cocoa producing regions in Ghana. And that is where they need a lot of labor. These other three regions, northern, upper east, and upper west region, are the poorest region in Ghana. So the drift of, or the position of movement is actually from northern, upper east, and upper west to eastern and western regions to work on the cocoa plantations. So that is the relationship between the three up there and the two down there. These other regions are actually at the receiving end of it. These are given out to them, unfortunately. Am I clear?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and thank you, Sebastian.